Alright, so here's my old engine. I was driving home from work one afternoon and looks like my oil pump failed. I noticed that my car was making a rattling noise and started overheating. I pulled over to the side of the road, let it cool down for a while. I was pretty sure that the oil pump was shot. After an hour of letting it cool, I turned it back on, just barely turned back on, and yeah, I drove it home making a clack, 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 clack. It was hurt my soul to do it, but I had to get home, and I wasn't in the mood to call a tow truck. I knew I was gonna need a new engine regardless, so got the new engine in the garage, and the old engine's got to come out. I have to perform a little heart surgery right here. You see, nice bright red beating heart over here. Well, not so beating anymore, right? Got to yank it out. Should be pretty straightforward. Just got to disconnect everything, drain all the fluids, and unplug stuff. Then I got to get a cherry picker, yank the sucker out of there. Not the most difficult thing in the world, not the easiest thing either. It's just a lot of work for the most part. Not something I'm too excited to do, but oh well, it's gonna be better. Hopefully today I'll be able to tear apart my old engine, get it out of the car, and then soon be able to drop this in. I'm hoping to maybe get a brand new oil pump and water pump for this before I put it in, just so that it's more reliable, it's longer lasting, but we'll see. This came with ECU, condenser, assorted air conditioning parts. Air conditioning was working and running cold on this car apparently before the engine was pulled. Have a pretty brand new clutch sitting down there. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but yeah, engine is here and we're gonna go put it in the car. Should be an interesting set of videos. Pulled the old motor out. I had this new motor here from a 92, so it's a couple years newer than the motor that was in my car. Still needs a little bit of love, so I'm transferring some of the nicer parts that I put on my old motor. I noticed when I took out the spark plugs, for example, there was oil all over them. I was a little worried at first, but I noticed that the valve cover gasket that was on there was broken, was bad, so it was letting oil leak onto my spark plugs. Put the valve cover gasket off my other engine, which was pretty recent, and now I'm going to switch over a few hoses and whatnot. Got the flywheel on here. This would be an ideal time actually to go ahead and do something upgraded, you know, 949 Racing twin disc clutch, for example. However, I plan to sell this car. I'm not looking to keep it, so I'm probably just going to stay with the stock. I've got the normal flywheel there. I don't really want to spend too much money. Get this in there, get it running, and then put the car for sale. Probably return it to stock and sell some of my parts separately just because they're worth a few car payments. And yeah, so here we go. Start turning this motor into something we can put in my car. First I'm going to get rid of these old hoses. These things are pretty seized on there, so you usually got to grab them with pliers and twist as you pull on them. If not, you're never taking them out. That's one. Oh man, that fitting is pretty disgusting looking. Typical Miata. That out. Saw that they had hose clamps on the other side. Usually quarter. Yep, quarter-inch. Water's going to come out of there. Take this ugly old hose out. Newer, nicer hose in. Do something like that. First, I really should clean those ends because they're disgusting. But I will. corrosion building up on these things, unfortunately. It's pretty typical. Rapid zinc plating on there to protect them from really doing much. Probably slip a little grease on there to make sure that that slips on and off easily. Motor oil. Of course, you don't want motor oil in contact with your coolant, right? So the very tips we're going to clean off. Make sure that the water doesn't come in contact with that. Not that it's enough of an amount to really do anything. Just so one day we don't open up our coolant and find some milky looking thing and freak out thinking, oh my god, I blew a head gasket. Hose clamp over. On so smooth. Gotta lubricate things. Move the one down here, I forgot about it. Get a little oil. Tighten up that hose clamp. Position. Always want to position these things such that it's easy to get at later. Seeing where people will flip this upside down and tighten it that way. I don't know why you would complicate your life and the life of whoever is going to work on this after you, but there's no need for that. There's no need to over tighten this either. I mean, once it's on there a little bit, it's not going to let it pass the bar. You're good to go. Oh, great. Here's a great example of that down here. The other end of this hose, held on with a hose clamp, is turned facing this way. Guessing maybe they attacked it from under here somehow. Jesus. Why do people do this? So then I toiled and messed around with it until I figured out that I could stick a screwdriver between the runners of the intake manifold and loosen the clamp just enough that I could turn it and then get at it from the other side, and I was able to take it off. From there I moved on to a whole bunch of other tasks that I had to get done in order to get the engine ready to put in the car. On the next episode, I'll be continuing with my engine installation. Thank you for watching Proper Style, and if you'd like updates, please click the subscribe button below.